My name is Rory Janice Miller, and I'm reading a short story from the Greater Lehigh Valley Writers Group anthology, Rewriting the Past. The story is called Summer's End. Jenna stood in the tiled hallway outside her mother's room while the hospital staff moved quietly around her as if she were invisible. They were busy going about the jobs that would keep the people inside the other rooms alive, moving in and out of the open doors in an efficient stream. Her mother's door was tightly shut. Jenna knocked softly and pushed it open. Once inside, she saw a woman and a man standing by her mother's bed. With the sound of the door opening, the woman looked back over her shoulder. "It's about time you got here." "Carly, don't start," said the man. He gave Jenna a sympathetic smile and waved her toward them. Jenna dropped her coat and bag onto the recliner in the corner of the room and joined her sister and brother-in-law at the bedside. "I live in California, for crying out loud. I can't be here every day like you can," she said. "Well, lucky for you that I can, isn't it?" "Look, I came as fast as I could. I came in on a red eye, got practically no sleep, and had a nightmare drive up here from the Philly airport. To top it all off, after I finally got to the hotel, I had to run out to buy a coat. I forgot how damn cold it still is here in February." Carly glared at her sister. "You keep saying I. Didn't Mark come with you?" Jenna hesitated before answering. "No." Carly rolled her eyes. "Oh, don't tell me." "Girls, this isn't the time for your usual crap. Your mother is dying. Show some respect." The two women stopped arguing and turned their attention to the frail, gray-haired woman propped up in the bed. "How is she doing now?" asked Jenna. "She's very weak. She's been awake off and on, but she hasn't eaten. She did drink a little, though," answered Carly. Jenna nodded. "I talked to the doctor on my way in. We went over everything. I know it won't be long." "I'm glad you're on board with the advance directive." "Of course I am. I know that's what she wants. It's hard enough as it is. She's been through so much. Her poor heart just can't take it anymore." "I know. We've gotten to her always rallying and pulling through, but we knew this would happen one day." "She's comfortable. That's what's important." Carly dabbed her eyes. She leaned in close to her mother and tapped her shoulder gently. "Mom, look who's here." Her mother opened her eyes slowly and smiled weakly. "Carly?" "Yes, it's Carly. But look who else is here." She gestured toward her sister. "It's Jenna, Mom. I'm here now too, with Carly. We're both here." "Oh, together." Her smile grew wider. "Yes, Mom, we're together. We're both here with you." "Happy," said their mother as she closed her eyes again. Carly bent over to kiss her mother on the cheek, then stood up and stretched her back with a heavy sigh. Her husband put his arm around her waist and gave her an affectionate squeeze. "Now that Jenna is here, why don't you take a break?" he said. "We can run home and grab something to eat. Maybe you could lie down for a little while." "Sounds good," she answered. "I think I do need a break." "Will you stay here while we're gone, Jenna?" "Of course. I think Tony's right. You both could use a little time to recharge. I'll let you know if there's any change." "Okay, thanks. We'll be back in a couple of hours." "Take your time. I'll be here," Jenna assured her. She stood in the doorway and watched as her sister and her husband walked down the hall and got into the elevator. Jenna went back into the room and set her purse on the wide windowsill, pushing aside the usual hospital clutter: yesterday's newspaper, a box of tissues, a styrofoam cup, a TV channel guide. She pulled out an iPod and speaker, pushed a couple of buttons, and placed it on the sill. In a few moments, golden oldies began playing softly, lifting the gloomy atmosphere. Then she went to her mother, kissed her on the forehead, grabbed her coat and purse, and flew out the door. The past. What a beautiful day, said her mother. What a beautiful day, echoed back the little girl. Jenna lay in the yellow rope hammock, watching the shadows of the maple leaves play across her bare legs as her mother rocked her gently back and forth with one hand. The hammock swung between the only trees in their small, sun-drenched backyard, two mature white maples that bathed them in shade. On a low, round wicker table under one of the trees, a pitcher of lemonade dripped with condensation in the summer heat. Next to the pitcher was a small plate with two freshly baked brownies sitting amongst a scattering of crumbs. The mother paused her rocking to pour icy lemonade into two aluminum tumblers, one gold and one purple. Jenna took the purple tumbler and held it against her cheek, the cold metal tingling her warm skin. Her mother sat down in a wicker chair beside her and resumed rocking the hammock. Let's save those last two brownies for your sister. She'll be home from swimming soon. Late afternoon breezes pushed towering white clouds across the blue sky and set off a concert of wind chimes on the porch. The maple trees and nearby forsythia hedges surrounded them with a cool oasis, while their yard lay in a dreamy stillness that begged for a nap. Sinking down into the tufted chair cushions, the mother closed her eyes and sighed deeply. How lovely it is. This is the kind of a day that you'd like to be able to put in a bottle and save forever. Jenna stopped playing with the ice cubes in her lemonade and turned her face toward her mother. She wrinkled her nose and squinted her eyes. What kind of a bottle? Her mother laughed. Oh, Jenna, you can't really save a day in a bottle. That's why you need to savor days like these. And then someday, when you're sad, you can look back on this day and remember how happy you were. You can remember what it felt like and smelled like and tasted like and feel happy all over again. But if you could, what kind of a bottle would you use? Jenna was not going to let her mother ignore her question. She demanded a practical answer, or it will go on forever. Let me think. I guess it should be a dark bottle to protect the sunshine, big enough to hold an entire day, something with a tight cap to keep it all in. Hoping that was enough information to satisfy her daughter, she leaned back and closed her eyes again. No more questions came from the hammock. Good. Within a few minutes, her mother was fast asleep. Peeking over the edge of the hammock, Jenna looked at her mother's peaceful face and giggled. Then she carefully jumped down, stuffed the last two brownies into the pocket of her shorts, and ran into her house. The present. Jenna slipped quietly back into the dimly lit hospital room. Twilight had fallen and the city lights began to blink on in the distance outside the window. The overhead lights were off. The one above her mother's bed was on. Next to the bed, a nurse was typing notes at her computer station. Jenna was pleased to hear the golden oldies floating softly from the windowsill. Good, she thought, they left it on. Finished with her notes, the nurse turned to look at her. Oh, you're back so soon. Yeah, I just had to run back to the hotel for something. Thanks for leaving the music on. No problem. Your mother opened her eyes a little while ago. I think she likes it. She smiled at Jenna. She's a wonderful person. We really love her. I know, and I thank you all for treating her so well. You've been great. A lump was forming in Jenna's throat. Would I be able to have some private time with her now? The nurse gave Jenna a sympathetic glance. Of course, I'm done here. I'll make sure no one disturbs you. Thanks, I appreciate it. The click of the door being pulled shut echoed sharply through the stillness. Wiping her eyes, Jenna pulled a chair over to her mother's bedside. Behind her, the Everly brothers sang softly, Let it be me. Hi, Mom. I'm back. Sorry I had to run out for a few minutes. Her mother lay still, the sheets tucked loosely around her, her hands by her sides. Jenna touched her mother's pale white hand gently, then reached into her purse and pulled out a big blue Phillips Milk of Magnesia bottle. Hugging the bottle to her chest, she leaned over and whispered, Mom, I brought you something. She dragged the chair close to the bed, put the bottle on the tray table, and sat with her elbows on the edge of the bed as she talked softly to her mother. Oh, Mom, I just have to let you know that I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I've been such a lousy daughter. You were always so good to me, and I didn't appreciate it. No matter what you said, I did the opposite. I don't know why, I just did. She took a deep breath and went on. I messed up every single thing I've ever done. Dropped out of college, screwed up 2 marriages, quit every decent job I ever had. The reason I ran off to California was so you wouldn't have to watch me botch up my life anymore. Nothing changed, just better weather. She touched the blue bottle, ran her fingers down the side. How I wish I could go back and start all over again and do it right this time. If only we could go back to those happy days we spent together before you and Dad got divorced, before you had to go to work and leave Carly and me on our own. Those wonderful long summer days when everything seemed possible. Jenna sat back in the chair and folded her hands in her lap, eyes lowered as if she were praying. I was such a spoiled brat. Still am, I guess. And I know I was always mean to Carly, blamed her for everything, all because I hated her for being so perfect, so smart, responsible, and good. Sometime during Jenna's rambling, her mother had opened her eyes, now shiny with tears. Oh, Mom, don't cry, said Jenna, squeezing her mother's hand softly. She stroked the bottle again. I wanted you to know that I saved this bottle all these years. By some miracle, I managed not to lose it. I wanted you to know that I saved one of those special summer days, a day with sunshine and lemonade and brownies and love. I saved it right in here. I've looked at this bottle, held it 100 times, remembering, and it saved me. Her mother reached out toward the bottle. Jenna laid it gently in the crook of her arm. Mom, I swear I'm going to change. I want you to know that I'm going to be different. I'm going to be better. I swear it, I promise. I won't let you down. I love you. She felt hot tears running down her cheeks and wiped them away with the corner of the bed sheet. Her mother smiled at her and tapped the cap of the bottle. You want me to open it? Her mother nodded. Jenna kissed her cheek. Okay, let's open it together. Jenna took her mother's hand in hers, and together they carefully twisted the cap. Sometime later, the room was pitch dark except for the faint glow of the monitors. The sudden glare of bright light as the nurse opened the door to come in startled Jenna. In the background, Elvis Presley crooned, Love me tender. Sorry to bother you, but we've been watching the monitors. Her vital signs are declining quickly now. Your sister called for an update, so she knows. She'll probably be here any minute. Jenna nodded as she smoothed her sleeping mother's hair. Then I'm going to leave. I've had my time. Now she can have her own time alone with her mother. I'll be in the lounge. The nurse nodded solemnly. My goodness, she said abruptly. It's hot in here. She walked over to the wall and checked the room temperature. Oh my word. Thermostat is set at 70, but it's 85 degrees in here. Shouldn't be this warm. Shaking her head, she came back over to the bed. She picked up a plate with 2 brownies on it. I'll get these out of your way. Oh, no, said Jenna. Please leave them. The nurse gave her a puzzled look and set the plate back down. You can tell my sister. They're for her. Jenna got up, turned off the iPod, and went to the door and pulled it open. But you can throw that away if you want. She pointed to the large blue bottle on the tray table as she slipped through the door. I won't need it anymore. Thank you for listening.